Should you wrap? Should you not wrap? Should you use tin foil? Should you use butcher paper? I just did all the work for you. We're gonna find out right now. Hey everybody, welcome back to Everyday Barbecue. My most popular video that I've done to date is a rib comparison video. I'm gonna redo that today and I'm gonna make it better. So like I said, this rib video that I did probably 6 months ago, it's a rib comparison video, wrapped versus unwrapped. And I just did 2 slabs of ribs. I did one straight and I did one wrapped in foil. And at that time I was kind of thinking differently about the comparison. Like I kind of went along the lines of thinking of, okay, well, when I cook ribs unwrapped, this is the technique I use. And when I wrap ribs, this is the technique I use. So I didn't use the same, when I wrapped, I had some brown sugar and some honey in there and stuff, which of course I can't do for the stuff unwrapped. Although I do think it was successful because I think I got out of it what I wanted to get out of it anyway. But I've had a lot of comments over the past few months about that video. People making suggestions, thinking that maybe it wasn't a fair experiment. And so I'm gonna go ahead and redo that. And by the way, if you wanna check that video out, I'm gonna put a link to it right up here. You can watch that. It's a great video. I was new, so don't laugh at me because my editing wasn't great. I really didn't know what I was doing at that point in time, but it's my most popular video somehow, some way. Now out here in the YouTube cooking community, there's a few guys that I've become pretty close with. I've got a few really good friends. One of those guys is a guy named Justin from Baby Back Maniac. Justin makes amazing videos. He will literally get you emotionally involved in what you're watching. The guy is amazing. His editing skills, his way that he tells stories, the food, everything. So check his channel out. Why am I mentioning him? I'm mentioning him because he did the experiment that I'm about to do about a month ago. I'm gonna go ahead, link you to that video right up here so you can check it out. Now what Justin did is he did unwrapped, he did butcher paper, and he did foil. And that's exactly what I'm gonna do. This is something that I had planned for my viewers probably for the last 3 months. I was just waiting for the weather to get a little bit better so I could execute this. So because I knew Justin did it, I called him the other day. I made sure he was cool with me doing this. I don't want to step on anybody's toes. And he was actually really excited to see what I'm gonna do here, and he's looking forward to watching this. So I hope it turns out good. Now keep in mind that this is not a how-to cook ribs video. So I've already prepped these ribs. I'm gonna show you these in a second. And I've done all of that work up front so that all we can really focus on here is the cook and the taste test. We're gonna be using lumberjack pellets on my pellet grill. And these are gonna be oak hickory cherry mixture. It's my favorite go-to flavor of pellet. We're gonna put these on at about 225 to 230. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna keep my range in that 215 to like 245, I hope, with the way the pellet grill swings. I'm sure if you guys have one, it'll do temperature swings. So my goal is to keep that high point under 250. So if you watch a lot of videos, you're gonna see, guys doing the 3-2-1 method. I'm just gonna follow this as I go. I'm gonna get at least 2.5 hours of smoke on these, and then we're gonna proceed to wrap 2 of them. One in pink butcher paper and one in foil. This time, when I wrap, I'm not gonna put anything in there with the ribs. Literally just gonna go ahead, put the ribs, wrap them up, get them back on the smoker, and put them back on for anywhere from 90 minutes to 2 hours. I'm gonna really look for tenderness because, there's this big thing about people wanting fall off the bone ribs. We like bite off the bone ribs. Real tender, but something that you can still manage while you're cooking. So once I get close to that point of tenderness, I'm gonna unwrap these and I'm gonna put them straight on the grill, and we're gonna sauce all 3 of these. I don't really know what sauce I'm gonna use yet. It's gonna be something simple, something store-bought. I just wanna keep consistency with all 3 of these ribs. Now I used a simple rub here. I just went with garlic salt and some fresh cracked black pepper. So now that I've told you about what my plans are, let me bring you in closer and show you what these ribs look like so I can show you how I prepared them. Okay guys, so basically I unpackaged these, I trimmed them a little bit, and I patted them dry, okay, after I rinsed them off. And I'm using a very simple seasoning here. I'm going with a little bit of garlic salt and black pepper. Yeah, I make some pretty crazy rib rubs sometimes. This time I wanted to keep this simple and easy so I could really focus on the taste of the meat when this is over with, and I wanted to keep this as consistent as possible, and you can't go wrong with SPG. I'm not going to focus a ton on the steps of this cook. You know, I'm not going to bring you outside every time I open the lid. I'm going to really focus on anytime I make a change. So whenever we are ready to wrap, whenever we're ready to pull these off, of course I'll take you out with me when we're going to put these on. But we're going to focus more on the end result than we are the process. I've got other rib videos that you can check out if you want to learn how I do this from start to finish in terms of trimming, in terms of pulling the membrane. And I'll put a link up in the iCard right now for you to check that out. So here's the deal. We had a beautiful day in northern Illinois yesterday. The weather was great. I had a great time. I even did a live chat out there last night. You guys could check my video list for that. But it's a little bit chilly again today. It's cloudy, and I've got a neighbor out there that's chainsaw happy, so I hope sound isn't going to be an issue. But bundle up with me because it's still under 50 degrees. Let's get outside this pellet grill. Let's get these ribs on, and let's get this experiment started. Okay, I know I went on and on in my opening, so just to save time, I've already put these on. So I just want you guys to see how I've got them here. They're all evenly spaced out. By the way, these all weigh about the same. They're anywhere from 3.3 to 3.4 pounds each, so I made sure I chose ribs that were going to give me good consistency. Anyhow, these are in here. The smoker's set. They're cooking. And I'm going to come back in about 2.5 to 3 hours my time. For you, it'll be in just... All right, it has been right at 3 hours, and we are looking really good. So one thing I did halfway through, I didn't bring you guys along for that, is I rotated this rear and this front 90 minutes through. So we are exactly 3 hours on all of these. Now it's time to take 2 of these out, put 1 in butcher paper, 1 in foil. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and grab one here, get that on the foil. All right, nice tight wrap here, going back on the grill. And time for the butcher paper. Back on the smoker we go. So I'm excited about this. I got these back on. So we've got our no wrap in the back, butcher paper here, foil here. We're going to let these go for 2 hours. We're going to follow tradition. All right, it's been right at 2 hours. I decided to go ahead and do the 2. I want to stick with that 3-2-1 method, and these are holding up good. So next thing we're going to do now is get these out of these wraps. So we're going to remove the one from the butcher paper, and we're going to remove the one from the foil. We're going to get them back here on the grates, let them tighten up for about 20 minutes or so. Then we're going to sauce them up, finish them off, bring them inside, and then we're going to finally see the differences between all 3. So let's go ahead and get these unwrapped. All right, let's get these unwrapped. I can tell as I unwrap these, definitely nice and tender, so I'm liking the way that looks. All right, these are nice and tender here. We're going to put these right back on, let these tighten up. All right, got these foil ones off here. Let's go ahead and unwrap these. Okay, so I'm definitely noticing that these are more tender. These are the most tender of all 3. These are just gonna fall apart. All right, guys, so these are so tender that they're actually coming apart. And I am just gonna try to work these off of the foil because there's no way I'm gonna maneuver them any other way. Remember that I did not wrap these with any liquid. I pretty much just wrapped them by themselves. And I'm marking these ribs with toothpicks. So here's what we've got before I close this. We've got the unwrapped ones in the back, no toothpicks, butcher papers, 2 toothpicks, foil, 1. So that's how we're going to identify these going forward, all right? Now, I'm going to let these set up here for about 10 minutes. We're going to sauce these up. We're going to let that sauce caramelize, and then we're going to get these inside. I'll bring you back in a couple minutes. All right, guys, so we're back here now, and these have set for about 15 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and sauce these up. I removed that extra grate up on top so that I'd be able to get at these because especially these with the foil that were in the foil, they're very hard to maneuver and manage. So this is a very basic barbecue sauce here that I just picked up at Menards. It's just like a tangy, and you know, we're not trying to cook competition ribs here. We're trying to find out the difference between methods of cooking. So I'm going to go ahead and get these sauced up, and once that caramelizes, I'm going to get these pulled. I'm going to bring them inside, and that's where I'll meet you guys next, okay? Inside to take a look at these and figure out which ones we like best and what the differences are. Okay guys, experiment finished. Now we get to see what our conclusions are. Now I apologize, I don't have a big enough cutting board here, so I had to separate these. These had no wrap the whole time. These, tin foil. These, butcher paper. So what I want to do is, I'm going to cut into the center of each of these. We're going to take a piece out, and then we're going to try each one, okay? And we'll also check out the visual differences as well as we go through it. So let's start with this one here, which had no wrap. Okay, so I can tell right away that this is definitely very tender. Okay, so there's our no wrap. Next, we're going to go ahead and do the ones that were in tin foil. Now these are real tender. I had a hard time just working with these just to get them off the grill without them falling apart. So, you know, cutting these is going to be not a problem here. These are very tender. So these are literally just falling apart, guys. I mean, look at this. I mean, these are so tender that I'm actually having a hard time, you know, from them just kind of mushing apart on me here. Now see if I can get a clean cut. Okay, so as you can see, these are just coming apart. I mean, they're very hard to manage. Now I know a lot of people like these just like that. I personally don't. I like something more like this, just based on this comparison so far. Let's get into this last one. Now this was the pink butcher paper wrap. So let's go ahead and see if we can get a nice clean cut on this. And here we go. All right, so just taking a look at these, you know, in terms of smoke ring, we've definitely got a nice light smoke ring here on these that were unwrapped. This is sort of unexpected to me because I'm seeing a little more of a smoke ring here in these with the butcher paper than I am with the ones that were not wrapped. Of course, we've got to taste it and see, but this is interesting. These again are mush, you know, there's a smoke ring here, but it's just very hard to see how in depth it is because they're just literally just falling apart, which is kind of what I expected to happen with at least one of these. So I think now it's time to go ahead and taste these, and let's see if we can taste the difference. Okay, so this is the no wrap right here. And I gotta tell you, I like this texture, you know, so far, just from based on the cutting. So now let me go ahead and let me get into this, see what it tastes like. Okay, so on that no wrap, I like that it's nice and soft inside. There's a little bit of a snap when you bite into it. Comes right off the bone. I mean, just look at that. Comes right off the bone. So here's our sort of mushy one. This is the tin foil wrap, and I'm gonna take a bite. I mean, I know it's obviously tender. Let's see what it tastes like. Okay, so the tin foil, super tender. I mean, so tender it's too tender, let's be honest. I don't know if you like them like this, that's great for you. I mean, they taste great. I don't get that little snap when I bite into it because they're just too mushy, they're too tender. And in terms of the smokiness, they're slightly less smoky than the no wrap ribs, but there isn't a huge difference. There's a noticeable difference, but it's not huge. Let's go in on this last one. Okay, so that is our butcher paper wrap. Like the texture, definitely can see a smoke ring here. Let's take a bite. Let's see if we taste a difference. Okay, guys. So, you know, spent about 6 hours filming this, actually more if you count setup time and everything. And I was excited to do this for you guys. I think we had a really good experiment. Everything was consistent throughout, and I have to say that these results are pretty much what I expected. So let's just recap what we did real quick. We went with the traditional 3-2-1 method, 3 hours of smoke, 2 hours of wrap, and approximately 1 hour of finishing with the sauce. So we're basically doing the same thing that you're going to see online. If you go to YouTube and you say how to cook ribs, you're going to see that 3-2-1 method come up all the time. And I wanted to stick with something consistent so that, you know, this would be something that you guys can reproduce on your own. When we did wrap these at the 3 hour mark, we didn't put any liquid in there. We basically just put the rib inside the wrapping, wrapped it up, whether it was foil or butcher paper, and we went with that. We didn't do anything special. At the end, obviously when I sauced these up, I used a real generic sauce, you know, so we kept everything consistent. So here's my conclusion. If my personal preference is, I like that snap when you bite into it, and I love that tenderness on the inside. That's what I get with the no wrap. Exactly what I want. They're still real tender. They come right off the bone when you bite, just like I showed you. So the tin foil, way too mushy. I know a lot of people like them that way, and that's cool. You know, whatever your personal preference is fine, but it's just too mushy. I mean, I couldn't even manage those, taking those off the grill. And I suppose we could have probably left them wrapped, you know, for a shorter period of time. That's fine. Whatever you want to do, but I just wanted to stick with, you know, a straightforward, generic method of cooking and recipe. And I got a pretty good amount of smokiness out of that, but certainly less than I did on the no wrap. There was a noticeable difference there. Now, the butcher paper. Butcher paper was sort of the happy medium. It gave me the tenderness I wanted. It gave me a little bit more smokiness than the tin foil, but a little bit less than the no wrap. So this is sort of exactly what I expected to get. Now these were all great. You could serve these at any gathering you have, and you know, people are going to love these no matter which method you go with. So what it really comes down to is preference. You know, how do you like them? I like mine with that little snap on the outside and that tenderness and juiciness on the inside with as much smoke flavor as I can get, unless it's overbearing, of course. So I'm going to go no wrap. I'm going to definitely give the win to no wrap. Second place for me is the butcher paper, because I got close to what I like there. And lastly, even though there's great flavor and tenderness in these tin foil, and I'd eat them, no doubt, they're just too mushy, you know, and you lose a little bit of that smokiness. So that's my conclusion. I hope you guys enjoyed this experiment. I appreciate you guys spending time with me today. Remember to check out Justin's channel. He did the same thing not too long ago. Video's doing really well. I have my initial video that I did on this, and I didn't quite do it the way I wanted to, which I did today. And I think pretty much this came out like I expected. But I hope I can save you time. If you're gonna go ahead and make ribs at you know, we've got the summer holidays coming up now. You choose which one you like, you can just go with it. You don't have to do any of the experimenting. I did that for you. So hey, take care. Cheers. I'll see you guys on the next episode. This is my oldest daughter, by the way. See ya.